to meet you.
Nice to meet
Thank you.
I understand that you are from Simon Fraser, and I know I've done some work on telementoring with one of your colleagues or former colleagues, Kevin O'Neill. Perhaps you know him. Yes.
Yes, I do.
Nice
That's
to
great.
meet you. Yes.
Okay. All connections to the West Coast here are welcome, so it's great. The West Coast of Canada, where I am. So it's my pleasure to introduce Deborah Scigliano from the School of Education, Duquesne University in the United States, as you can see, in Pittsburgh, PA. The title of the presentation is Peer Coaching, Reflective Professional Development for Educators. And this is a paper that offers a detailed, and in my view, quite a persuasive account of peer coaching as a particularly productive approach to teaching that promotes reflection and elaboration of teaching practices. The paper provides an especially rigorous, systematic, and in my view, a step-by-step even account of this form of reflective professional development of educators across contexts and across disciplines. So I'll turn the floor over to Deborah.
Thank you, Martin. And I also want to thank our wonderful previous presenters. I have learned so much from you, so I thank you all. And I will be referring to some of the elements that you brought out in your presentations as I go along. Here we go. This quote, I love it, but yet it is a sad reflection sometimes. If teachers were flowers, they would die on the vine for lack of nourishment. And that is actually a mini pumpkin vine that I had. And this is from Barbara Gottesman in her book, Peer Coaching for Educators. And so we're going to look at peer coaching and how it can help educators to flourish, to be empowered, to reflect on their learning. And reflection was a term that popped up in a number of our previous presenters' work, and reflection is very powerful. So without further ado, let's look at what is peer coaching. Well, here is, I will bring out, you can read what's on the screen, but I will pull out some of the key components here. It's a confidential process, and you'll hear me say that again because it's very important. Confidential process to, here it says or more. I've only seen it used between two. So, but two or more professional colleagues. And the important thing is, because it's peer, it would be teacher to teacher or administrator to administrator. You wouldn't want to have a power differential there between administrator and a teacher. So, peer, professional colleagues, reflecting. And that is what we're going to look at. Reflecting on current practices where they can expand, refine, build new skills, and you'll see put district initiatives, look at them, help them transfer to their practice, and solve problems in the workplace. So today, I am going to advocate for and share this wonderful practice that I have been practicing and researching for 30 years, researching more the last 14 years, but practicing to this very day and for the past 30 years. I find it so valuable, and I am so excited to be here to share this experience with you. So it's the mirror model, the reflective, as if you are looking in a mirror at your practice. Because there are expert coaches, as we know. We see content area such as literacy coaches, math coaches. And actually, peer coaching can exist side by side or without the expert model. So here with the mirror model, it is reflective, which is the power of it. Because somebody else is not telling you what to do, you're going to be looking at the data and reflecting on it yourself to help improve your practice, your teaching. Reciprocal, meaning that, for example, I am a coach, and then I am the coachee with my coach. But there is something called one way, and that's something I did when I came to higher ed from basic ed. And my person that I happened to meet my very first day at orientation on the campus, she wanted to very much engage in peer coaching, but she hadn't learned about it yet. So that first semester, I was helping her to learn about peer coaching, but she was my coach. So we did have one-way coaching for a semester. This next one is extremely important. It's non-evaluative. It is not, you know what, that was great, but I think you could do a better job if you. No evaluation. And it's data gathering, just the facts. There was an old-timey television show here in the United States called Dragnet, and the detective Friday would say when he was at the crime scene, the facts, only the facts. And that's what it is. It's data gathering. And it's another set of eyes and ears in the classroom. And it's very important. I will share an example. During that one-way coaching that I was telling you about, I was focusing on my questioning during discussions. I wanted to make sure I was asking questions and then responding to students and helping them, those probing questions to help them look deeper. Well, if I had not had that extra set of eyes and ears with my coach, who we set up that she would write down the questions and then the probing questions would be identified as well, I would have gone home that evening. It was an evening class with my master's students, and I would have thought, okay, I probably asked about maybe 4, maybe 6 questions at most. Well, I found out by looking at the data that it was more like 24. And so that was extremely valuable to me to see which ones I initiated, which ones were probing. Now, why engage in peer coaching? What's the rationale for it? Well, here are some of the benefits. Teaching can be an isolating experience if you let it, but this helps you to collaborate with others and it breaks that isolation. Empowering. It's very empowering, and it empowers teachers to take that action, collaborate with someone to help move student learning forward. It's transformative to education. It can raise not only teacher self-efficacy, but collective efficacy of a school, of a district. It certainly offers a source of support. And as referring back to my colleagues' presentations, I couldn't help but think of with the pandemic and the online learning that teachers who were not prepared had to quickly become involved in. Hopefully, I know I wrote a chapter recently for a book about the need for ongoing now. I hope we continue to support teachers to learn how to effectively teach online. So peer coaching can help them as they take those steps to improve their practice in online learning, that they can do that through peer coaching. It promotes the transfer of new skills into practice. And in a later slide, you're going to see how it can take just talking about theory of something, which transfers maybe 5% into practice, to when you add some other elements and then finally you add coaching, takes it up to 90%. But I'll save that wonderful surprise as you see that development for a little bit later. It personalizes your learning agenda. As educators, many times we're sent to in-services or professional development that is decided for by the school, by the district, and it's not necessarily what we may want to focus on. So peer coaching, the mirror model peer coaching, allows educators to focus on what they want to do to improve their teaching, their students' learning. And it provides data-informed reflection, something to give you something to think about, because we know it's important to reflect on our teaching to help improve our practice, but to have that data is very important. And I know I go back and forth between data and data. Now, these are some testimonials of actual benefits by people who have engaged in peer coaching. And it provides an enhanced ability to analyze their lessons, gives feedback to improve teaching and learning. The reflection helps our understanding of our teaching, and it has shown an increased sense of self-efficacy and collective efficacy. And efficacy is another one of my research interests. Here's that transfer of learning to practice, and I will let the chart speak for itself. Now this, as you can see, is from Bruce Joyce back in 1987, but there is also more recent research, which I have not added to this slide, from 2013 that have found the very same percentages. So if you look there, starting with just talking about theory, so imagine you go to a workshop and they're talking about theory, and then you add all those other elements, you get up to about 25% if you have theory, demonstration, and practice, and feedback. But look, if you add coaching to all those other elements, it goes from 25% up to 90%. And that is amazing. So here, this is what peer coaching, the mirror model, is and what it isn't. It is collegial. It's not competitive. You have to have trust to be able to engage in peer coaching. Many educators, I've worked with educators across the United States over the years, over the decades, and many teachers are reticent to have somebody else, another adult, another educator or administrator, come into their classroom. So to know that you're not competing with somebody to outdo them in how they are teaching, that it's collegial, and that that person that you have chosen to be your coach, and they have chosen you, you trust each other to support one another, and you have each other's best interests in the profession.
5 minutes.
Thank you, Martin.
Thank you.
It is professional. It's not social. And what I mean by that, and this is one of those things I am a stickler for, is that keep it professional. Keep to what the visits are. In a moment, we'll see the process. You don't enter into conversation, the how's the family, or oh, I love that suit, where did you get it? Because what can happen is that eventually, if there's too much of the socializing and you found that your precious time is running out, you may end up not wanting to engage in peer coaching. It's specific. So you work on, for example, you saw I worked on my discussion questions. It's not just general, come and see, how am I teaching? No, it's specific. This is very important. Confidential. As peer coaches, you do not even to the administrator of the building, talk about what happens in coaching sessions. Unless, of course, and I have to add this disclaimer, unless something is harmful that is going on. So it's not public. It's reflective, not evaluative. So the person reflects on the data who's being coached. They're called the coachee. It's not, you did a great job. Even saying something like that, avoid that, because the rationale for that is if you don't say that's a great lesson the next time, the person might think something's wrong. And then again, over time, may pull away from peer coaching. So just keep it, present the data as the coach. And it's dynamic. You can change up your focus from time to time, or you can stay on a focus, but it's not static. Okay, here's the process. Pre-visit, visit, post-visit. And this has even evolved over time to make it more user-friendly. When I started learning about this and practicing it back in the early 90s, it was called the pre-observation visit and observation. So visits to be more inviting. So at the pre-visit, the coachee is always in charge, identifies the specific behavior, the coach's role, and the means for collecting the data. Then during the visit, only the coachee and the coach, I'm sorry, will only collect the data that the coachee has identified. As you can see in the picture, if the students are looking out the window and that's not what the coach is supposed to be focused on, something that the teacher is doing, that doesn't enter into the report, so to speak, the data collection. And then at the post-visit, the coach shares the data. The coachee can make reflective comments there or later. And also the coach can ask guiding questions and can also share some resources that might be of benefit to the coachee's focus. And then they decide upon, the coachee decides upon future observations, and both colleagues establish the time of the next pre-visit. So it's a cycle, it continues. And before the questions, I just do want to go to this last slide. And I hope that all of you, and if you want to unmute yourselves, say this along with me. I promise that I will always seek the nourishment that I need. And if that's peer coaching, hopefully you will do that, or whatever it is you need as an educator, so that your well is always full, because we give so much. So now to questions. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Deborah. And
there's something.
There is something in the chat, and in fact, I think we'll begin with that. It's from Mona Liza, I believe, from Cuza University of IASI in Romania, if I'm not mistaken. The comment, as you can read, peer coaching, it seems to me, helps practitioners, teachers, and others to increase their own personal professional agency. It allows them to set their own agenda for development and improve it. My question is, from your experience and study, how important is it that this personal professional agenda aligns with the school's institution's development agenda?
That is a great question, Mona, and thank you for that. And one of the benefits of peer coaching can be that if the district, the school, has a learning agenda and they provide maybe minimal initial professional development, this is a way that I have seen that educators can sustain and put into practice, and that transfer of learning can occur because they're trying something out with the help of that data coming back to them through their coach. And so that can be very helpful. But because you are in charge, if there's something else that you want to look at, they can coexist basically, and they can support each other because there's no stipulation of how many times you can engage in the peer coaching cycle throughout the year. So it may be, especially now with online learning, and maybe that is a district focus. So you might want to put in a few sessions that do align with the district focus. But also, if there are other things that you want to pursue, you can do that concurrently as well throughout that year cycle. I hope that answered. Did that answer your question, Mona?
There's another comment from Mona. As you can see, I find that the non-judgmental, non-evaluative aspect is very important, yet the coach needs a lot of training in this mindset. So that was just her follow-up comment.
Yes, and absolutely. And that is one of the keys to continued successful peer coaching, is that non-evaluative, that non-judgmental is very important, because many educators, they really are very shy about opening up to others. I've seen that. They just want to be with their students. And so I agree, Mona, that some training, so to speak, between the coach and coachee to make sure that they know that I just want the facts, just the data, because that is true. We often think, and that's why I make it a point every time I present on peer coaching to say, keep the evaluation, even if it's positive, like great lesson, I enjoyed it, out of the language, because that sounds great, doesn't it? But if you miss it 1 or more times, that can start to raise those fears in a teacher of, I'm not doing well, I don't want somebody else to see this. Thank you.
Is there anything else? I'll pose or probe a particular question, and it's around what you just spoke of. And I appreciate the fact that when you said no judgment, no evaluation, and then I believe you said no 3 or 4 times with exclamation marks.
You got it.
So I realize that you're deeply committed to this, but is coaching not evaluative by definition? One understands a coach, especially if one is to, as you say, give feedback and improve teaching and learning. Just the facts doesn't quite cut it, it seems to me, in that it's dispassionate, wholly objective. How do you, and how is that done? How do you actually improve teaching and learning, provide feedback without a hint of evaluation or assessment? And in many domains, coaching means precisely evaluation, precisely assessment. And so I'm curious how you negotiate those definitions.
Martin, I'm so glad you brought that up, because the evaluation actually comes from the teacher, the coachee, not the coach. So not outside of themselves. And the reflection, we are supposed to reflect all the time on our teaching practice. This gives another tool to help, that mirror. The data is the mirror that they can reflect on their teaching, and the coachee makes the evaluation on, you know what, I asked too many questions, or I didn't ask enough questions. I want to learn more about this. But yes, coaching, as I said, expert coaching, that could be evaluative, where you have a literacy coach, a math coach, or some other content area coach. That type of coaching, and that is something that has its place, absolutely. It's as if you were going, I golf, so when I go to my golf pro, I want them to tell me how my backswing is doing, and they break it down for me. But in peer coaching, that's where you don't have that that outside influence. And in fact, that's one of the things I really like about it, is that it puts the responsibility for learning and reflecting and evaluation on the teacher. Because I know in my experiences across the country and talking with teachers, there's seems to be a disposition that, just tell me what I'm doing wrong and tell me how to fix it. And that's okay. That's all well and good. And it can, that certainly can be and should be a place of going to somebody and asking, how can I make this better? But reflection in and of itself has been shown to be a powerful influencer of improvement of teaching and learning. So that's why I like the peer coaching model, is that it makes it puts the professionality of teaching upon the teacher. And then when there are those times, I'd like to see, am I doing this right? Or, and sure. Then you can certainly ask somebody to come in and coach you in that way. So it doesn't have to be all or nothing. But with the mirror model, it is the non-evaluative. Yeah. Does that answer you?
Understood. It does. Open for debate. It's great.
Yeah.
Just what you're supposed to do. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you all so much. I've had so much fun being here today. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me and allowing me to share a passion and a research interest in a practice of mine. And have a great day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again. We'll move along because